close to it, but it's Alireza Firouzja winning 2 excellent games back-to-back. Not fluky, not scrambly, just purely outplaying Magnus Carlsen. Back-to-back games, 3.5, 2.5. And for the first time in London, Magnus Carlsen trails.
Incredible. Great play. Alireza would have just traded off the bishops, the queens, the rooks, and won the king and pawn endgame with that extra pawn had it continued. But Magnus not even fighting it on, shaking his head. It's showing that he is really feeling the heat here.
Fun fact, maybe not so fun for the Magnus fans. Last time they played in a final, it was 6-3 Magnus after the 5+1. Alireza Firouzja already has more points, and we have 28 more minutes to go.
Incredible. He really has brought his A game. We're back to this fianchetto tense position with all the pieces left on. Magnus has put both of his bishops on the longest possible diagonals. He's now going to plant his knight in the center if black retakes with the pawn. It's a very typical idea. And yeah, we can see how Alireza continues to fare in these positions. He's held his own so far. He doesn't normally play into them. This is normally Magnus's type of hunting ground. Very, very tense, very strategic. And c5, we're going to see the hanging pawn structure again, most likely a bit later down the line. For now, Magnus maneuvers. The knight goes home, back, is coming out to c3 to apply pressure on the fixed d5 pawn. And therefore, Alireza tries to meet it by planting his knight in the center. Very, very balanced position so far.
For the second time, we see the same structure for black, but the white queen never went out. It's not on a4, not on b5, not applying pressure. I do have to say, again, I am more comfortable applying pressure to those pawns and making some trades in the position from the white side. But wow, rook c3 makes sense because bishop c3, there were some tactics. But it doesn't feel like a great position for white. The coordination's just not there.
He's playing for a certain style of position, Magnus, but he's not getting the dream versions. It always feels like he's a few tempi down, therefore having to retreat his rook and allowing now Alireza to push forward. That's a classy move. If the pawn is captured, I think he wants to create a protected pass pawn in the near future, whether it's now or on the next few moves.
David, correct me if I'm wrong. If you showed me the last 2 games and now this one, it's like the colors are flipped. Like it really feels like Alireza has stolen the style of his opponent. He's giving up an outside pawn, which Magnus has recently had to come to terms with being more comfortable in playing, especially after learning the Catalan. This is Magnus' school of chess right here.
Exactly. Give up an a-pawn, create a pass pawn, win it long term. I agree. You asked the question, like, these young players, what type of games do they study the most? Everyone now looks at Magnus Carlsen as the benchmark. They look at his games by far the most, and maybe the style is rubbing off, finally. Knight to e5 played.
Before we get crazy, knight e5 is an annoying move. White could be threatening in some positions to take on e4 and then try to take the pawn on c4. Well, there it is. Now Firouzja's going to have to maybe take on e5. Or can you just give up the c4 pawn?
Big question. You do get the white light squared bishop. That tends to be a good thing, but black doesn't really get any attack immediately, so it would be a material investment long term. I think Alireza wants to take the bishop. He would rather have that piece, but taking the knight, maybe this specific scenario, is the way to go. And okay, Magnus with his identical twin there in the audience, doppelgangers.
I met one guy in the venue upstairs. I think it was, I can't remember at this point, but and I was like, oh, you got this, you got that? Yeah, he's like, came from Australia. I was like, yeah, that's what I thought. I saw the mustache and I thought Australia. Now he has given up a second pawn for this doubled outside pawn, central lock, light squared attack near the king, but he's getting a little, I don't want to say arrogant, but he's getting a little hyped. The better move was just to play it safe and take the knight.
Yeah, I think he underestimated the fact that white's piece is actually quite stable for now. The white queen might sit on b5 in the near future. The black b6 pawn is going to be weak long term. There we go, applying some pressure. And it's hard for black to improve. Yes, black has a beautiful bishop in the center on d5, but what else? What next? White has 2 extra pawns. I think this is good news for Magnus. Alireza, as you say, just taking a bit too far here, the risk he's going with.
And Magnus is a move away from getting rid of his outside weakness. Should he be able to push it to a5 or reposition the dark squared bishop in a perfect world to b4 exactly, rook b1, rook c1. It definitely feels like a position where you have a 1-game lead and you're like, I'm gonna sack the pawn and we'll figure it out. But we are not figuring it out, folks. That's just a couple moves away from Magnus really capitalizing on the pawn advantage.
Yeah, could we see the trend of this match turn again? Magnus will want to equalize as soon as possible, of course. Time is ticking in this 5+1 portion where Magnus is a big favorite. This is where our pre-match prediction said that he would strike. He would emerge with a couple of points lead. That has not happened, not come to fruition so far. According to Polymarket, a 72% chance of Magnus winning this match. But I'm not sure that's the case any longer. Alireza holding his own. Rook c6. A nice move, putting pressure on the knight.
You can triple up as well, the queen and the rook. There's some rook a5 business in the air. Magnus trying to trade pieces. We tell people, rook a5 is right there. Pushing out the queen. We tell people, you have an advantage, especially material. Trading is good. You want to trade some rooks, some bishops, some knights. But now the queen's got to leave.
Yeah, she's almost trapped. She has to flee back to e2, f1, ugly squares. The a4 pawn will drop in the near future.
Rook c6.
Oh, Magnus wants to. He loves it. Those types of queen sacrifices, counterintuitive. He won one really nice game against Denis Lazavik when he had pieces against the queen yesterday. Oh,
there it
great call.
He's sacrificing his queen. Now, there will be an audience response here, and they're probably going to get a little bit hyped, but we don't know. We don't know. It's a big decision to lose a queen in a chess game. It's a huge decision because that's the most powerful piece. If your pieces don't coordinate well enough, you're going to have problems. Now, there's some hacks to playing against the queen. You need really good coordination. You need no weaknesses, right? You have to have the ability to move the pawns forward as well. Does he have all the criteria?
He does, especially if this rook is taken. That's why there's hesitation now on the part of Alireza Firouzja. That would have been a deadly c-pawn. Again, don't take the rook. It's going to be replaced by a future queen and double exclamation mark.
That's a little nonsensical because it could have been taken on the previous move. But yes, and Alireza, this is genius. I think Magnus might have just like skipped this step. Like he doesn't have to take my rook. Obviously, you want to take the rook, but the passed pawn would quickly become a 2.5-point pawn, pushing up the board. Firouzja could land a checkmate in the future if that pawn gets to h3.
Exactly. And you talked about what to do against the queen. With the queen, technically your material down here quite a lot. A queen versus 2 rooks and 2 pawns. But you need to go for the enemy king as quickly as possible. b5 pawn is hit. Ooh, watch out though. A pin on the back rank.
Ooh, yes. He definitely missed this idea, bishop a3. He's in a lot of trouble now. King f7 is impossible. He had to maybe move the queen to e7.
Oh no, that is terrible news. And queen to e7 now would be too late. The white rook would come up to c3. The bishop's going to line up on the diagonal anyway. He's lost a key move. And how to break this deadly pin. No checkmate against the white king yet because the white knight is just about nearby. And it covers f3, so the black queen can never use the light squares.
You might have to chuck the bishop and just go kind of crazy. I'm not really sure what else you can do here.
He blocks the diagonal. But if bishop a3 ever lands, knight c4 is the solution.
Oh, a counter here.
Oh, the rook is hit. Double question mark. That is harsh. Knight takes b6 is apparently the best move now. Giving up the knight just to connect the white rooks, and bishop to a3 is up his sleeve for a bit later.
That is definitely findable because the alternatives are pretty dreadful. Going back is not nice, although feasible, understandable, but it's not quite the same position because the queen was never on e6 to begin with.
Exactly. That would be admission of a mistake from Magnus, not something he wants. Knight takes b6. Oh, the game goes on there, though. The black queen will still have potential of attacking the white king.
I just said this. Knight d2. It's not the same. Now Alireza gets a move, and he could, and Magnus, and Alireza just repeats. He repeated the position.
Oh, he trusted Magnus. Bishop to b7 would have been super strong. And okay, now game on. Bishop to a3. We're going to see black flog his bishop, give it up on f8, and just try to break through behind. Queen takes pawn now. He's coming in. Watch out. If I can draw arrows, queen to d1 check. That looks deadly almost.
Oh, and rook f8, there's always queen a1 in some lines where it would be hitting the rook as well. If Alireza gets h3, this white king is not feeling safe at all.
Oh, who would you pick here? Practical terms, it's maybe easier to play black, but he is lower on the clock.
Yeah, it's anybody's game. The 26 seconds are not going to be conducive. Magnus will find ways to put some pressure, but when his king is attacked, bad things could happen.
That's the one Achilles heel, maybe. Magnus takes some risk with his king in regular occurrences in games. Will it pay off this time? This is fantastic, though, from Alireza to spot that he can just give up a piece. He's so much material down, but the queen is all-powerful.
At the very minimum, he's close to forcing a draw, right? If he gets his king out and then plays g5 and g4, like there could be a net where he just keeps checking the white king. And black's king is super safe because it's just going to run around on the light squares.
Oof, this is really dangerous times for Magnus. He likes positional queen sacrifices. When it gets dynamic like this, a bit crazy, anyone would feel uncomfortable.
Alireza has played out of his mind. This has been some of the best chess that he has shown all of us, really, just exceptional. And Magnus is down to below 40 seconds. They are 10 seconds apart. He does not have a plan here.
If this gets down to a 10-second each scramble, then it's easier to play with the queen, no doubt, especially with the king open like this. The checks.
What's the move? What's the move? That was the obvious move. He goes h3. What a little move.
Oh, he wants to put his knight back on f1 without allowing the black pawn to h3. The black queen would have come in, pawn down, checkmate. That is not possible any longer. That's a great move from Magnus.
This is information to Alireza to react to. h3 must be a bit of a shock. He has 10 seconds on the clock. Does he take? Does he give a check? What does he do here?
Apparently only 2 moves hold the balance. He needs to take, but now he needs to find this move, bishop to e6.
There is absolutely no... Oh, wow! What a move! And so now what? Now what's the idea, David? Bishop...
The key behind bishop e6 is that he could have there played queen a5 with a nasty skewer, and the white rook could not come back and connect. Missed opportunity. That's why the red cross appeared. Queen a5 would have been super strong for black there.
But it's actually one of the most forcing moves, and now we might get that perpetual. The king is hunted.
Knight takes f6. Magnus could have checkmated black there with some nasty rook checks.
Oh, but now the king is getting hunted. Where are the checks? How do you check here? He's pinning.
He's pinning the black bishop.
Oh, he lost on time!
Wow. Alireza Firouzja flags in what was a crazy position.